Let me ask you something straight up, no fluff. Have you ever done everything right with a guy, gave him your time, your energy, your heart, only to watch him end up with someone else? That brutal, sinking feeling like you played fair, gave it your all, and still didn't get picked. You showed up, you were kind, you listened. You were patient and understanding. You did everything they say you should do, and yet he walked away. And to make it worse, he chose someone who didn't even seem to care as much as you did. Yeah, it hurts, like a punch to the gut. But take a breath, because this isn't about something being wrong with you. Actually, there is something you didn't know, but it's not your fault. Since we were little, we were told a lie. That being good, polite, easygoing, and never causing waves was what would make a man fall in love. That if you just stayed sweet and low maintenance, love would naturally find you. But here's the truth, that strategy often backfires. You end up playing the role of the ideal girl on paper. And yet he falls for someone else, someone who, at first glance, doesn't even seem to try to be the perfect choice. So what gives? Here's the twist, attraction isn't logical. As Carl Jung once said, most of our actions, our decisions, especially in love, don't come from our rational minds. They come from the unconscious, that deep, emotional part of us that doesn't follow spreadsheets or bullet points. Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. That right there, that explains attraction in a nutshell. We think love is about compatibility and checklists, but it's really about something much deeper, something primal. Today, I want to share something with you that could completely flip how you connect with men. 2 words, just 2, that, when spoken with the right kind of confidence, can change how a man sees you completely. Now, before you think this is about tricks or games or being fake, stop. This isn't manipulation. This is about understanding how male desire actually works at a subconscious level. And the best part, you don't need to be a supermodel. You don't need to be rich. You don't need to live in some Instagram fantasy world. You just need to understand how to tap into that deep emotional current that actually drives attraction. And if something's already clicking inside you, hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications. Because this channel, it's not about fairy tales. It's about real tools grounded in deep psychological insight to help you build a love life that actually works. All right, let's dive in. The biggest lie you've been told is this: to win a man's heart, you need to be the most logical choice, the kindest, the most available, the one who never pushes back or causes conflict. And while that might sound smart on paper, in reality, that's not what sparks desire. In fact, it often creates the opposite, indifference. You might know her, or maybe you are her, the woman who's always there, always checking in, sending good morning and good night texts, always showing support, and still he chooses someone else. Why? Because desire doesn't grow from comfort, it grows from mystery. Jung said the soul needs tension to evolve, and when it comes to love and attraction, emotional tension is what creates that spark, that feeling that something's alive. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you need to be toxic or cause drama. I'm saying that when you try too hard to be flawless, too safe, too predictable, you become invisible. Let me give you a metaphor. Picture this: you're starving. In front of you are 2 plates. One is a clean, healthy salad, safe, light, nice. The other is a juicy, flavorful burger, messy, bold, rich. You know the salad is the smart choice, but which one calls to you? Exactly. This isn't about being the wrong choice, it's about being the irresistible one. The one who makes him feel something, who leaves a mark he can't shake off. And sadly, most women are taught to avoid that, taught to play it small, to not rock the boat, to avoid rejection at all costs, to hide what they really want. They wait for the right moment, they tiptoe around their truth. And while they're overthinking, wondering when it's safe to speak up, another woman is already creating a storm of emotion inside that man. A feeling he can't explain, but can't ignore either. That's when women start to wake up. Because desire, it doesn't come from logic. It's not something you can convince someone to feel. It's not about your emotional resume. It's about how he feels when he's around you. And no, that doesn't mean being rude or putting on an act. It means owning your truth and expressing what you want, clearly and confidently. That's when everything starts to shift. Because here's the difference between women men desire and women they just respect as friends. The women they want aren't always the ones who play nice. They're the ones who speak from a place of real emotional courage. So if you've ever been the woman who deserves love but never actually gets it, here's the hard truth. If you don't express what you want, you don't show up on his emotional radar. Men aren't pulled toward women who are always trying to please. They're pulled toward women who stir something in them, who awaken emotions they didn't even know they had. And that doesn't come from being perfect. That comes from being real, from being direct, from being emotionally alive. This is where those two words come in, words that flip a switch in his brain. They're simple, they're powerful, and when you say them with inner confidence, they change everything. Want to know what they are? Get ready, because this might just change your whole story with men. Let's get into the truth now, the part no one tells you. Men aren't the most attracted to the woman who tries the hardest to please them. They're drawn to the woman who makes them feel something, something real, something intense. It's not about being the funniest or the most entertaining like you're auditioning for a dating version of America's Got Talent. It's about creating a moment, a vibe, an emotional experience that shakes him up, that jolts him out of his day-to-day numbness. But here's the problem. A lot of women approach attraction like it's a checklist. They think, okay, if I do these things, be nice, be available, be thoughtful, then obviously he should pick me, right? But this isn't a job interview. Love isn't about ticking boxes. Attraction doesn't work that way. Carl Jung reminded us, our decisions are driven not by what we think, but by what we feel. And nothing proves that more than when it comes to love. Men don't fall in love with the woman who's right on paper. They fall for the one who stirs something inside them. The one who, without even trying to be perfect, awakens something they didn't know they were missing. So here's where women often fall into the trap. They try to convince a man to love them. They do favors. They give gifts. They spend endless hours being there, hoping all that effort will somehow build up enough emotional points to cash in for a relationship. But attraction isn't a reward system. It's not an emotional bank account where kindness automatically buys desire. In fact, the worst thing that happens is this: fear kicks in. Fear of being rejected, fear of making the first move, fear of saying the wrong thing. And so they freeze, they wait, they hope, they become emotionally invisible. Let me make this clear. In the world of attraction, indecision is the kiss of death. While you're hesitating, second-guessing, wondering if now is the right time to let him know how you feel, some other woman is already speaking with confidence. And that emotional spark you're afraid to light, she's already lit the whole damn fire. So how do you actually create powerful, real, magnetic attraction? It's not flowers, it's not fancy dinners, it's not waiting around hoping he notices you. It comes from emotional presence. It comes from knowing who you are, what you want, and saying it out loud, without apology. Men are drawn to women who radiate certainty. A woman who can say, "This is what I want," calmly and clearly without fear, has a kind of energy that's magnetic. She doesn't need to raise her voice or dominate the room. Her clarity speaks louder than anything. Compare that to the woman who says, "I don't know, whatever you want, I'm good with anything." That kind of energy doesn't invite curiosity. It screams insecurity. And insecurity, as Jung pointed out, taps into the shadow, the unconscious fear, the hidden parts of us that sabotage connection. But when a woman makes peace with what she wants, when she accepts her own desire, she begins to speak from a completely different place, and that's when everything changes. Let me give you a quick example. Imagine two women both interested in the same guy. The first one says, "Hey, would you maybe like to hang out sometime? If you're free, no pressure." The second one says, "I want to see you this Friday. Does that work for you?" Feel that difference? One sounds like she's asking for permission to exist on his calendar. The other is owning her space. She's clear, she's direct, and that confidence is magnetic. Men aren't looking for bossiness, but they are looking for clarity. They're not pulled toward women who constantly adjust themselves to be liked. They're drawn to the ones who show up fully. Desire, direction, confidence, all in one. Women who don't ask permission to have desires, women who claim them. And this is where those two words come in. Two words that, when said with real certainty, can radically shift the way a man responds to you. They're not magic, but they do carry immense psychological power when spoken with intention. Ready? Here they are, I want. That's it, that's the shift, I want. Don't be fooled by how simple they sound. These two words are dynamite when used right. Let's go back to those examples. One woman says, if you want, we could maybe hang out sometime. The other says, I want to see you this Saturday. Massive difference. The first is soft, hesitant, unsure. It feels like a suggestion that might not even matter. The second is clear, grounded, and emotionally real. When you say, I want without flinching, without softening it, something clicks in his mind. Because men aren't used to that. They're used to hints, half-suggestions, passive vibes. But when you take emotional leadership, and let me be clear, leadership is not domination, you trigger a deeper kind of respect, a deeper kind of pull. Because that's power, emotional power, real, grounded, magnetic power. But let's also get this straight. It's not about barking commands. It's about inviting with direction. Big difference between, I want you to do this for me, and I want to share this with you. One is a demand, the other is an expression, and connection always comes from expression, not control. So if you've ever sat there wondering why women who didn't seem to try very hard somehow end up with the guy you wanted, it's not because they were better. It's because they weren't afraid to want, and they weren't afraid to say it. So now that you know, here's your moment. Because everything in your love life could change the second you stop being afraid of your own desire. Let's do a little experiment. Next time you want something, anything from a man, say it. Start the sentence with I want. Not if you have time, not whatever works for you, not I don't know. Just I want. It might feel weird at first, uncomfortable even, that's okay. Because here's the deeper truth. When a woman expresses her desire without fear, her entire energy changes. And that shift, that's what people notice, that's what they feel. Not just in love, at work, with friends, with family. Think about it when you say, if you think I deserve it, I'd really like a raise, versus I want a raise. Here, SY, I've earned it. Which one hits harder? Same thing with friends. Whatever you guys want to do is fine, versus I want to do this today. The words we choose create the energy we walk around with. So if you start owning what you want, clearly, calmly, and confidently, your entire social and emotional identity begins to shift. And that includes your love life. So let me ask you, honestly, do you want to keep being the woman who waits, who adjusts, who stays quiet? Or are you ready to be the one who leads her own story? If your answer is the second one, then what comes next is everything. Because yes, there is a right way to use I want, and if you do it wrong, it can backfire. But when you do it right, that's when everything changes. Let's talk about the how. Because just saying I want isn't enough. It's how you say it that gives those words power or takes it away. If you say I want in a shaky voice, with your eyes on the floor, shoulders slumped, your body language is screaming the opposite of what your words are trying to say. It's like your mouth is saying confidence, but your energy is saying, please don't take me seriously. And here, where Carl Jung's work on the self, and the shadow hits home again. He talked about aligning what we feel inside with what we express on the outside. That's the moment when things stop being theory and start becoming transformation. So if you want the words I want to work for you, not just fall flat, you have to say them with your full energy aligned. That means calm voice, clear eyes, relaxed but open posture, no fidgeting, no shrinking, no apologizing. You don't have to bark it. You don't have to posture like someone you're not. You just have to speak like someone who knows her worth, someone who isn't afraid to take up emotional space. And remember, this isn't about demanding. This isn't about controlling anyone. It's about inviting someone into your world with direction. There's a big difference between, I want you to do this for me, and I want to share this with you. One closes the door, the other opens a connection. Attraction doesn't thrive under pressure, it flourishes in freedom. Now here's the kicker, your words alone aren't enough. You've got to back them up with action. If you say, I want to take you to dinner, but then you wait for him to make the plan, the message loses weight. There's a gap between what you said and what you did. Men are drawn to women who not only express desire, but move toward what they want. Women who shift the energy in the room simply by being fully present. And guess what? This doesn't just apply to dating, it applies to everything. Your work life, your friendships, your personal goals. Because once you start showing up with emotional clarity, people feel it. They respond to it. Your presence carries weight. You become a woman who is heard without having to shout. Because when you know your value and you live like you know it, you become magnetic. So here's a challenge. Next time you want to invite a man out, don't ask for permission to want him. Say, I want to see you Saturday. Does that work for you? Then stop, look him in the eye. Wait, hold the silence, let your energy speak. Because a woman who knows doesn't have to convince. A woman who doesn't beg, doesn't shrink, and doesn't over-explain. She cannot be ignored. And hey, just knowing all this won't change your life. What creates change isn't information, it's action. You can nod along with everything in this video, but if you don't do something different, nothing shifts. So let's make it real. Here's your 7-day challenge. Say, I want 5 times a day, every day for 1 week. Not just in love, in all areas of your life. The point is to train your mind and your body to speak with clear intent, to align your emotions with your words, to start living in that confidence, not just imagining it. You're out to dinner and the waiter asks what you want. Don't say, I don't know what's good. Say, I want this. You're with friends and no one wants to make a decision. Don't say, I'm good with whatever. Say, I want to do this. And yeah, when you're with a guy you like, stop hiding behind soft phrases like maybe, or if you're not busy, just say what you want. You'll feel awkward at first, totally normal. That's the discomfort of growing. Your brain will start whispering, you're being too much. What if you come off the wrong way? You should just stay quiet. That voice, that's your old conditioning talking. The part of you that's been taught to stay small so you don't rock the boat. But you're not here to be small anymore. That discomfort you feel, that's emotional muscle being built. Just like going back to the gym after a long break, your body aches at first, but if you stick with it, you get stronger. You start moving differently, holding yourself differently. Same goes for your voice. After just 1 week of practicing this, you'll start noticing changes. Little things at first, but they'll matter. People will respond to you differently. Your friends will pause when you speak. You'll feel a new level of respect at work. And with men, you'll see it in their eyes, you'll feel it in their energy. Not because you played some game, but because you stopped operating from fear and started acting from conviction. And that's the shift. You'll go from being the woman who waits to be chosen to being the woman who chooses. No more chasing approval. No more hoping someone reads your mind. You'll be too busy standing in your truth. Now, let's be super clear. This isn't a trick. This isn't about manipulating people or faking confidence to get a guy's attention. This is about you reconnecting to yourself. Your wants, your voice. That part of you that's been silenced for too long in the name of being nice or agreeable. This is about becoming the woman who knows what she wants and says it, without fear, without apology. So take on the challenge, practice it with real intention. Watch how your energy shifts, watch how people start responding to you. And if, after 7 days, nothing changes, you're free to go back to the way things were. But if something, even just one thing, feels different, then you'll know this wasn't just a nice idea. This was the beginning of a whole new chapter. Let's close on this. Confidence creates attraction. When you know your worth, and you express it without hesitation, you stir something deep in people. Admiration, curiosity, and yes, desire. So the next time you're about to dim your light, don't. The next time you're about to swallow your truth, speak it instead. And the next time you want to ask a man out, don't ask for permission to want him. Just say it clearly, confidently, calmly. I want to see you this Saturday. Does that work for you? And then own it.